Miss Shannon Welch. Welcome to the Our Day Off podcast here at King of the Hammers in 26. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic now.
Good.
We've been chatting for the last, 2 days?
Yeah, on
2
and off,
days,
I'd say.
2 days about getting on here and getting you to tell some stories. And you were talking to me outside the other day and kind of briefly telling me some stories, like some short stories about like how you got started and how this all happens and the kind of the behind the scenes. And what an amazing event. And 20 years King of the Hammers, which is like you were saying, you were kind of reminiscing on the 20-year thing.
There's a lot to it. I mean, to have an event, well, start with, I guess, how I'm here, right?
Sure.
I had a best friend who built a race car. A race car was built for King of the Hammers. So we had a race team called Big Ugly Racing. Big Ugly Racing was one of the, not OG, but close to it, early on racing out here. Got to know Dave Cole and Jeff Knoll through that. Helped out, just would be at some of the regional stuff and even out here at King of the Hammers and kind of help them with messaging or putting images out and stuff and just helping, just spreading the word about what was happening. And then when Dave and Jeff split, Dave gave me a call and said, hey, I think I need some help. And it was just me helping because I cared. And then I was like, you need to find somebody to do this full time. And he's like, yeah, I have you. And I'm like, no, I have a job. And he coaxed me into taking a major left turn with my career. And I spent 10 years working for Dave. I was the first full-time salaried employee at Hammer King. So did that from 2011 to 2019. And then since then, I mean, a lot of what we did there involved saving Johnson Valley, saving the Hammers. That was a big part of what I did for the first 5 years I was with Dave. So some of the stuff that I do as passion project now is I still work on public land use, particularly motorized access on public land through Blue Ribbon Coalition. But yeah, I've been at 18 of 20 of them. I wasn't at the secret one, and I wasn't at the one the year I quit, because if I'd come out that year, I probably would never have quit. So, because I care that much about all of this. But to think that this event has made it 20 years, it's crazy. I mean, because we don't own the land, so we do it because we get the permit from Bureau of Land Management. We do it because we have been able to keep it from going to the Marines. We've done it, during COVID, it still happened. To do something that can't exist permanently, to build a city and take it down every single year, and to do it 20 years in a row, that I know that every single year that race has started on time. The main event, and we call it Race of Kings, but the original King of the Hammers has happened 20 times out here. You don't see that in motorsports. You don't see that in off-road motorsports. So it's no small feat. It's really an impressive thing to see 20 years of that consistently happening here.
Yeah, and especially for you for being involved so long.
Mm-hmm.
What does it feel like now, being 20 years from looking back to when you started helping Dave with this?
I mean, when I look at all the names of all of the kings that have won, I know them all so well. And so really the reason I got involved was these guys didn't start off as race car drivers. They were just like the fastest guy in their off-road community. And then they all got together to see if they could build something better, go faster, do it harder. And really that's what made me fall in love with the community. And still seeing those kings come back year after year, they still think about it. They still dream about it. And there's still 50 guys out there that have been doing this a really long time that just want to, some still want to finish, that have done it a long time. So that heart of it is still here. It's definitely a much bigger, I mean, it's huge at this point, right? There's so many people I don't know. There's names I don't know. Kyle Chaney, who won last year, if I've met him, I don't know that. But really, there's still the heart of it that's always been here is still here. And it's kind of grown up around those core people that have been out here for, I've had so many people walk up to me and say this is 18, 19 years for them. And so you still have those people coming back, even as it's kind of grown around all of us.
Right. I've ran into people in Hammertown, and a lot of people have come up to me and just said how good of a job I'm doing, and they love the podcast, and which is super great, and I love that. It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
But I ran into a guy the other night at the drivers meeting, because I'm not even racing, and I still go to the drivers meeting.
Sure.
So I'm a racer, so I just want to hear what's going on and see my friends.
Yeah.
So I was at the drivers meeting, and a guy pulled me aside, and he said, said, I really love what you're doing, and this is our like 4th or 5th year here, and we haven't even finished.
Yep.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why are you here? Like, but then like we get to talking and we start, chopping it up and talking about the race. And it's like, I know why he's coming back. It's the
Yeah.
same reason I come back every year. There's years that I didn't finish. Last year I didn't finish. Last year I broke the car in lap
Yeah.
2 and had to drag Max Gordon back all the way to Dave's house.
Yep.
From the desert. We both broke in the same spot, and they're like, "Hey, buddy," we both met up and drug each other back.
Sure.
So it's like there's something about this community
Mm-hmm.
that brings you back year after year, and
Mm-hmm.
this and the people behind the scene like yourself that help make it better every single year. And you guys go to battle behind the scenes. I've heard stories and I don't even know half of it. But you guys just go to war to keep this event happening.
I don't think anybody who participates in this event isn't battling something.
All right, everybody. I want to give a quick shout out to CT Raceworks. CT Raceworks makes the baddest parts in the industry, including the parts that Kyle Chaney uses to win the 2025 King of the Hammers 4400 race. Now, if you would like to use those same parts, feel free to go over to CT Raceworks and use the Our Day Off discount code, and that will get you a 5% discount on your entire order at any time. So that's Our Day Off discount code upon checkout. Back to the show.
Yes, we've certainly gone to battle to make it happen year after year after year. Dave, more than anybody, you need this guy who logic and reason is not the first thing. The first thing is what could be possible, and Dave goes for what could be possible. But so does every name that's on that. I keep pointing over here because we've got the list of all the kings, but
Right.
every single one of those guys thinks about what could be possible every single night, and there's 100 more of them that think about that. And so whether the battle is us versus federal lands, if the battle is man versus himself, like what can I build? If it's man versus machine, man versus nature, like what you have is a community of people who don't want a life of comfort out here. And so if this was easy, I've said this for years. Whenever it was like, oh my God, so hard. If this was easy, we wouldn't be here. Like, we're not here because it's easy. We're here because there's something about the challenge of it that makes us feel more alive than we feel in other aspects of our lives. Otherwise, we wouldn't do any of it.
For sure, for sure. We had Pam Hall on the other day, and she said one of her, favorite parts about being here and working on this set is when they come across the finish line, the emotion.
Oh, yeah.
The emotion dump that these people have. And these are grown men that have worked a whole year in advance to come here and race a race car. And just like you said, just to finish
Yep.
is an absolute feat.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're not only are you battling your car and your teammates and your parts, you're battling Johnson Valley.
Yep.
Like there's so many factors that come into making it to the podium. And I've been lucky enough to stand up there, and it is the wildest feeling
It
that
is.
you can possibly have. And no one will understand that until you get in a race car, come to this race, feel the community, talk with the people. And the cool part is you can go see the drivers. This is an open pit area.
Oh, yeah.
You buy the wristband, you show up, and you can walk this entire town and the entire pit area, and you can go talk to all those kings.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally go see what they're doing and chat with them if they've got an inkling of time, which is very few and far
Sure.
between. But the community is amazing.
Yeah. Whenever anybody asks me what's your favorite part of the whole thing, and I certainly getting to hug people as they finish is huge. My husband was a co-driver once. I got to do the checkered flag for him and my best friend as they finished this race. That was cool. And the finishers, I'm so proud when they finish. But my absolute favorite part of this event, my favorite day of the whole damn year, is race morning for the 4400 class, the original King of the Hammers race, because it is so hard to describe, but they start warming up their cars out there. It's freezing cold. You can start feeling that horsepower kind of coming up through your feet on the desert floor, right? And then it's just building, and the anticipation is building. And every single person, whether you work for the King of the Hammer staff or you are part of one of these race teams, there's not a single person that hasn't sacrificed. There's not a single person that hasn't lost sleep. There's not a single person that hasn't put blood, sweat, and tears into all being there. And then, all of the engines get going. They start 2 by 2 coming in. You do the national anthem. And the most powerful moment of my entire year is when all of that anticipation comes to this grand crescendo and that green flag drops. Tears every single year. Every single year. Just talking about it right now, I've got goosebumps talking about it. It is to know everything on this lake bed that goes into that moment for that green flag to drop from the putting on the event side of it, the racer side of it, the family sacrifice side of it. I know their stories. I mean, I used to know all of them intimately, and I still know quite a few of them, but we made it. We made it to the beginning of it. What happens next is anybody's guess. Some will make it a mile, some will make it all the way to the end, but they all got themselves there, which is the first battle.
Yeah.
And to me, Hell yeah.
right? Right? What a feeling.
Yeah.
What a feeling. And
Yeah.
I get that same feeling. I get that same feeling.
Yeah.
As a race car driver, we all feel it too. I
Mhm.
mean, every time that, like you said, that brisk morning, you wake up on
Mhm.
race day, you weren't really you weren't really sleeping all that great the night before because
Mhm.
you're just kind of amped up.
Mhm.
And I feel like I do a pretty decent job of keeping my nerves calm, but there's
Sure.
something about this particular
Mhm.
place, and being on this dirt was where so much history has been made,
Mhm.
and it's continued to be made every year. And It's electric. I've said this same exact word on the podcast like 3 times. So if you're watching these back to back to back, sorry, but it is like there's something about this place that just draws you in every single time. And I've made the joke on the podcast before that my favorite time, I have 2 favorites of Hammers: showing up at Hammers and leaving Hammers.
Sure. Sure.
Those are my 2 favorite days
Yeah.
because like all the in between just seems like a whirlwind.
Mhm.
Half the time I don't even know what day it is. You're dirty, you're dusty, but we go back and we all sit around the smudge pot or the campfire and we all just reminisce and talk about race stories and talk about life and whatever's going on and talk about what happened during the day. And that's the stuff that I will never be able to replace with anything else.
No, the camaraderie and the community out here. I mean, it's I've never experienced it anywhere else. Anywhere else. I mean, I work in a completely different industry at this point. I get to meet lots of really successful business people. But if you don't come from this place of wanting to challenge yourself at this really extreme level, I it only goes so far with me. I really want those people that want to go deeper, that want to push themselves harder, and they exist out here. And so getting to be around them amps me up in ways that is really hard to describe unless you've actually been here and done it. But yeah, coming down Boone Road, I don't care. Every single time I've ever come down Boone Road, it's like I get energized. I feel at home. Like this place has probably felt more like home to me than any house I've ever owned. Probably one of the reasons that I've spent 20 years fighting for it and keep fighting for it. But uh, I love this place. I love this place more when there's not people here, but I love it when my people are here too, which is what I view this event as my people. Yeah,
Sure, absolutely, and you're rightfully so. You put your blood, sweat, and tears in this place,
so many have.
like legitimately, I'm sure.
I
Uh,
have some scars. Truly, I have a scar.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. One thing I did want to touch on, and we kind of briefed over it a little bit, but you do
Yeah,
a lot with land management and protecting this place. And I know this year has been a big push for, no fireworks. Let's leave those things at home.
yeah.
They are illegal to be here. You can have them. They're not supposed to be here. And then there's been a lot of buzz about, the nightlife thing that's going on with Chocolate Thunder. And it's like I'm all for everyone going out and having a good time. 100%. Like that's what we're all really here to do is have a good time and be with our friends. But what's happening out there is not safe. People are making terrible decisions and they're leaving it a mess, and it's like we've gone all over the place doing little videos, me and Chase, and we're pointing out like, look, you can buy trash bags here, you can put them on the back of your rig, pick up after yourself. It's simple, it's not that hard. Like we can all go out and have a good time still. No one's telling you to not come here,
Yeah.
but let's just be respectful of the place. And you know better than anybody, so I'm sure I'm just talking in circles here, but
Uh,
explain some of that to us.
I well, I can't explain the behavior that says come out here and trash the place. There's this anarchist element to it that I just don't understand at all. And I don't think people who do that really appreciate just how fragile this whole event is and our ability to use this land really is. And I, I think there was a long period of time where every single year it was the threat that this would be the last year we'd ever have the event, especially when the Marines were trying to take over the land before we got it congressionally designated. And so everybody treated it with such a God, this could be the last time this could ever happen. But I don't think people understand that every single year could be the last time this ever happens. On one hand, it feels like, oh, because we're 20 years in, it should be stable and it should happen again next year and it's too big to fail. It's not true. It's just not true. So the more you abuse it like that, the the more of a challenge it is for this event to happen. And I don't get how people could come out here and not understand that. But there's an entire generation of people that have been born since this event happened. And so they take it for granted. And whenever you take something for granted, you run the risk of losing it. And so for me, I don't think there's ever a moment that I take this place for granted because I know exactly how close we've come to losing it. Um, and and so it breaks my heart a little bit. I don't go out there after dark. I never have really. Um, and I think it's crazy. Like, the people who are here know that that is such a small percentage of what actually goes on here. There's probably 100,000 people that can come through that front gate. It's maybe 500 people causing these issues. That's less than 0.5%, really. And so to let those people destroy something that matters to so many people is just not worth it. And so I'd really love to see us be able to creatively come up with some solutions. Um, but that's not my area of expertise, and I certainly don't want to speak for Hammer King or Bureau of Land Management on that. What I do know is that public land is something we have to respect, and when we don't respect it, we lose it. I spend all my free time fighting to keep public lands open, and when we work against ourselves on that, it makes it our fight is hard to begin with because there's a good number of people that don't believe motorized recreation belongs on public lands at all. And then when people come out and trash it, they just make that job so much harder.
Right.
And the reality is our public lands get smaller and smaller every year. So we have to find a way to educate people and get them to understand how important it is to not be those people.
Do you have any suggestion? I mean, I don't. I'm a racer.
Yeah.
I'm not some think tank.
Yeah.
But what I can do is provide some sort of a place for you guys to chat about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. On a personal level, I don't know as the people that are out there actually own off-road vehicles doing a lot of the trashing and the fireworks and all of that. I don't know as they do. I think one of the things that comes up a lot when talking about public lands with people is the emergence of side-by-sides. Everybody wants to blame side-by-sides as the new bad community, but it really is just a numbers game, similar to here, right? We've got 100,000 people here and maybe 500 of them are the issue. You sell 100,000 UTVs a year and maybe 500 of them are the issue. So you're talking less than 0.5% there too, but those are the ones that are causing us issues. One of the things that I don't know how much people are going to love this, but for me to drive my Jeep, I have to have a license to drive my Jeep, right? Because it's a street legal and off-road vehicle. I think, and if I take my boat out on the ocean, I have to have a captain's license. I can't just randomly take a boat out on the ocean without knowing the basic laws of taking it out there.
Right.
From a public lands, what I do with Blue Ribbon Coalition thing, I'm really looking at, do we need an off-road license for people to understand the basic etiquette? But again, I don't know if that's who's causing the problems out at Chocolate Thunder. I deal with that more when I'm talking about land use and tearing up the land. And I always hear it side by sides. I'm like, you guys, because there's like 100 side by sides for every one Jeep out there.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily, it's always the side by side's fault. There's just more of them. But how do we get in front of that so that people don't assume that every side by side owner is a bad apple? And I know
Right.
so that's one of the things that's been on my mind as kind of a big picture thought. I mean, that's certainly not something that could happen overnight, but I work at the federal level on this stuff. So it's like, how do we come up with an answer for this that says, hey, we're being responsible in a way that's meaningful? I don't like the idea of more government or more licenses or that sort of thing, but I don't know of another way to educate all of the public on it, right? Like, how else do you do it?
Well, I think a lot of it could be racers getting involved, to be honest with you. I mean, we're all here, all the racers that race UTVs, and I'm not going to sit here and speak for all. That's kind of a broad statement. So
Sure.
what I will do is say, there's good people,
Sure.
and myself included. I would be happy to, if someone has a question about where they can and can't go and what's right and wrong out here, come talk to us.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
gladly help you. If you need somewhere to throw trash, dude, I can point you out
You
to a
think the
thousand
average
different
person
places.
would know where to put trash. So
Do
that's
it then,
not a
but
license,
clearly that's a
right?
problem. Clearly. I mean, don't they have VP race cans up there on Chocolate
They
Thunder with
do.
crushers on them that people can put their stuff in, yet we're still having to go out there every single night and clean up after
Because what you're
everybody?
talking about is a fringe of society that is really looking at the anarchist aspect of it. They think the rules don't apply to them. They think they really, I don't know how to do, I don't know who you could even get as a representative of them to come and say, yeah, we're totally for trashing the place. Yeah, we're totally, who's going to come tell us that story? Because I really think it's a group of people that believe that this is a lawless thing and that there's no rules. And that's not society. So
Yeah.
I don't, anyway, I don't love spending time thinking about it. And that's not to say that I'm not part of discussions or people trying to come up with solutions to it. But there's so much good that is happening out here to spend more airtime and more time talking about that small element of it. We need to come up with solutions, but there's so much good that happens out here. An entire industry has been born from King of the Hammers. This community, other than Coachella, it's basically the largest event in Southern California that brings revenue into the area. And this is a small community that gets a lot of positive financial support from this event happening out here. And so we don't talk about that. We're talking about a bunch of I feel like an old person, hooligans out on backdoor. But really, you just have this group of people that just don't think the laws apply to them, and I don't understand. And I'd love to say we could self-police it. I don't know.
Right.
And there's some algorithm aspect of this. To be totally fair, it is such a small number of people, but because people love the Jerry Springer element of things, like we're putting out 100 amazing videos a day of epic things people are doing, and those videos are getting way more attention. And that's the type of stuff that we just need to like stop doing.
Right. Yeah, I think that was kind of one thing I was gonna mention is I see a lot of the racer style influencers that are in the community going up there at night and posting about it and making and bringing it to light. I think that would be a good stop. Maybe even I'm not saying don't go up there, but maybe don't post about it. You know what I mean? Like don't encourage the chaos. I know you're getting a bunch of views on your social media, but like, come on.
Well, one of my personal suggestions is I really want to put a cell phone blocker out there because I don't think this problem was that big when people didn't have cell phone coverage out there.
Well, cell phone coverage, you can still video.
I'm
You
not
know what
saying
I
you
mean?
can't still video, but it's amazing how when there wasn't cell phone coverage up there, you didn't know your friend was already out there. You weren't meeting up with people because you didn't know they were there. You just happened to roll in or happened to roll out.
Yeah.
And I will say that this same group of people, if they're not really part of the off-road community out there, they don't like to spend time where they don't have cell phone service for very long. They hate when their phones aren't working. So if they're that group, go somewhere else where your cell phone works. So I really think there's an element of that would actually take
Okay.
at least a quarter of them out of there because they don't want to be somewhere where their cell phone isn't working.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
on. Well, hey, I'm like I said, I'm just an ear to talk to, and
Yeah.
hopefully we get somebody to listen to us at some point. Who
I'd
knows?
love that. And I'd love to light it up. I would love one of the light sponsors out here to just put bright lights on that mountain so it's not this dark hiding in shadows kind of thing at night. And then let's see who really likes being in the spotlight up there too.
Yeah.
Light it up and get rid of cell phones, and let's see if we can maybe decrease it by half out there. That's one of my thoughts with it. So
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, one last question before
Yeah.
before I let you go. Who's winning this year in 4400?
It's an interesting course this year.
We still got the infamous lap 3, so that nobody
Yeah.
knows about yet. So there's another factor here.
Yeah. And I don't know on that one.
I won't hold you to it. But I want you to tell me at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll run into each other at some point. You
Yeah.
can tell me, but I wanted to end the show on a light point. We've been talking about some heavy stuff, so
That's fair. That's
yeah,
fair. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I love this place. I know you do too, and we're gonna
Absolutely.
try to do our part to keep this thing moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because I want to see it keep going. I've got young daughters and a son that are coming up, and I'd love to bring them here, and get them involved in some point. So,
Yeah. I love hearing about the kids that come out here and get how special this place is. And I think we've got a lot more of them than we've got troublemakers. And hopefully that works out for us in the right way at some point here.
yeah,
So
yeah,
thank you.
I agree. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Shannon, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and
Absolutely.
thank you for coming on the RDF podcast.
Sure.
You're King of the Hammers in 2026.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right.
We'll talk to y'all later. Thank you.